This is Jess, and you're listening to The Pumping Podcast. This week, I sit down with a mama from Miami, a beautiful mom who's focused on fashion, family, food, and fitness, all the 4F's that I love as well. We have a beautiful conversation about motherhood, a little bit about breastfeeding, and what her blog has done for her, how it's inspired her, kept her sane, and helped her stay away from all of the noise. Without further ado, here's Adriana. Here we are. We are in, unusual times, typical for 2020. I'm in my parents' closet. Welcome to the Pumping Podcast, year 2, 2020. I'm hanging out in the closet with a bunch of clothes.
I love it. That's so funny.
I'm so excited.
Say you're not innovative.
Right? Hey, you never know what's going to happen this year. It just keeps getting more and more interesting. I am sitting down with Mama Adriana, and I found her on Instagram. Her handle is at 4F's Given, which I think is amazing and hilarious. We're going to talk a little bit more about what all that means, but she's just a beautiful person. I'm so excited to hear more about her story and welcome you to my closet. So thanks, Adriana. You look so beautiful and bright and adorable, and I'm in my closet. You know, that's the way it works.
Miami will do that to you.
Exactly.
Before, and when we were in New York, it was all black all the time. But when we moved to Miami, I said, you know what? I really need to introduce some color into my wardrobe. So this is my attempt.
Well, I have a little bit of color, but you can't see it because this closet's so dark. Anyway, that's a perfect segue because I wanted to ask, I think we have so many connections here. You were born in Boston and you lived in New York.
Yeah.
I'm currently south of Boston. My parents live in Boston, and I live in New York right now. That's so crazy. So where are you from originally?
So I was born in Stoneham, Massachusetts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so close to us.
Yeah. Where are you guys?
My family is in Taunton, just about 20 minutes north of Providence and about 40 minutes south of Boston.
Okay. Yeah. And then when I was about 6, my mom moved to Florida. And then I think it was about a year later, my dad came down. And so I grew up in Florida. And then when I was 21, I ended up moving all around. And then after, I think it was probably like 6 years of that, I moved to New York. And I spent the majority of my adulthood in New York. I spent about 10 years there until we moved down to Miami a couple of years ago.
That's amazing. I feel like you visited, I mean, I'm a little biased, but I think you visited some of the top cities. It's so awesome. My husband loves Miami too. The last time we went down there, he's originally from Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
And he just felt at home down there.
Yeah. Puerto Rico is actually one of the places that I moved to when I turned 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I first was in Guaynabo for a little bit and then lived
his family
for the rest.
So funny. He went to school in Guaynabo and his family's from Trujillo Alto.
That's so
crazy. My goodness. See, there's so many reasons why you end up connecting with people. So I want to go back to your Instagram handle for a second because I think it's hilarious. And I've been following you and connecting with you for a little while. And I just realized like 2 weeks ago what the actual play on words and whole meaning is. So can you just tell our listeners a little about this?
Yeah. So it just kind of came at me when I was looking for a name for my blog. And since I was in the fashion industry for so long, I wanted to continue to do that because it's obviously one of my passions. But I, also became a mom and I was interested in family and I was always into fitness and I've always been such a healthy eater that I wanted to kind of find something that I could combine them all. So I thought, okay, fashion, family, food, and fitness. Okay, 4F's. These are the 4F's I care about, right? So 4F's given. So it's basically a play on 0F's given.
Yeah.
And these are the 4 topics, the 4 main categories that I put everything that I talk about into. And that's just kind of how it came about. It was just like thinking through what I wanted to talk about and how I could turn that into a blog and an Instagram name.
I love it so much.
Yeah, fun.
Well, you're so inspirational. All of your blog posts are just amazing. And I'm a fan of all of those four categories. So I really enjoyed it. But
I'm actually
Mama,
glad you got it because sometimes I'm like, I wonder if people are going to understand like what my handle actually means, you know?
yeah, of course. Well, yeah, like I said, it took me a little while. I was just thinking 4F's given. Like, of course, like every mom should just be like, fuck it. I don't care who, do what you want, live your life as a mom, especially. But then all of a sudden I was looking at your blog and reading more and thinking, wait a minute. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's dive in a little bit more to the beautiful life that you've brought into this world, and then
Uh,
also your life before that, first of all. So what was life like before the birth of your daughter?
yeah. So before Stella came, we would travel a lot. We'd go to the gym, we'd go to the beach, we'd go to the pool, we'd go out to eat whenever we wanted, things like that. And keep in mind this was also pre-COVID, so we didn't have to worry about
Right.
where we were going, if we were going to go or not. We would just kind of see something and we would just go, right? And so that's how things were before she came. Obviously, things changed after that, but we were just on the go all the time. My fiance was always playing soccer, and I was always at the gym or going to the beach or things like that. So just things to keep us active in our communities, really.
And what were you doing for work?
So I at the time still had my business. So prior to Stella, I had a an event production and digital marketing and PR agency. And that's what I was doing in New York. So I had clients. The majority of the business was producing runway shows during New York Fashion Week. So, doing all of the legwork to make that come to fruition was months of planning on top of doing other events like pop-up stores, and then on top of other services like public relations. So it definitely kept me busy. So that's what I was doing before that. I was an entrepreneur. It was crazy. I mean, in New York too, it was all I did was work. I always tell the story of like my relationship with New York is so much different than like my fiance's, for example. He had fun, he had friends, he went out, he had a good time, career. Mine was just work, 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 work. I mean, I would have two jobs, sometimes three jobs at a time, just to make my dreams come true, basically, because I was financing myself. So I was definitely hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good word, I think, for all moms, even before their mothers. All moms, I feel like, are just hustlers. It's the way it's in our blood. That's what we have
Yeah.
to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're multitasking constantly. Your mind is everywhere. Your thoughts are in different places, and you have to be
Exactly.
focused in all of those places at the same time. So yeah, for sure, we're always hustling.
So what was pregnancy like for you? What was that experience?
Pregnancy for me was really great. I kind of feel like it was like this little magical experience. I was lucky. I didn't have any sickness. I worked out the whole time until about the last 2 weeks because I had what's called if I can pronounce this, symphysis of pubic dysfunction,
Oh my goodness.
SPP or something like that. But basically, what it means is like the ligaments that are supporting the pelvic bone become relaxed too early from oh gosh, I forget what it's called. Anyway, they become
From something, yeah.
too relaxed, yeah, and it causes a lot of discomfort, and your pubic bone actually is starting to open up. Um, so
Wow.
that was really the only challenge that I remember having. For me, it was an awesome experience. I loved being pregnant. I loved feeling the little movement start to come and progress into more kicking and punching and things like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I got very lucky. I wasn't sick at all. Not not even once I didn't get sick. So it was a great experience for me. I loved it. I loved being pregnant. I
And
never felt more comfortable in my body
mm,
than when I was pregnant.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. That's crazy though
I
to
think it's
think
so
about.
hard. Yeah, I mean, it's such a transition for most people that it can maybe go the opposite way, but for you, if it was inspiring and felt comfortable, that's exactly what we would want.
Yeah. It was really great. I'm like,
Now,
I
what about
have like 18 more kids.
I know, right? If you could always be in that position, feeling that bliss.
It's interesting too because when you're pregnant, you're hormonal and you have emotions and things like that. But for me, it was kind of the opposite, right? Like I was actually less hormonal. I felt like my hormones were more regulated when I was pregnant. It's weird.
Hmm. Crazy things happen when you're pregnant too. It's
Yeah,
like you can't
yeah,
even guess.
yeah.
And so now what was your birthing experience like? Did it go as planned? Was it smooth?
Yeah, I mean, it was, obviously it was somewhat smooth. I was in labor for 19 hours.
Mm,
That being said, it was very pleasant after I got through triage. Triage was quite brutal. They were really adamant about checking me and making sure that how many centimeters I was dilated. But the lady who was checking me was incredibly rough. I
mm,
had to tell them to stop, and someone else had to come and check me again. But for me, like whenever I had to go get checked, like last week, or the last several weeks, you go every single week to get checked.
right.
It was very painful for me. I actually had to tell my doctor, like, I can't keep coming every week. This is just too painful. I would be in pain for like days.
Mm.
But once I got out of triage and they took me to my room, everything was really, really beautiful. The nurses were amazing. They were so caring. They were really respectful of my birthing plan. I was like, here's my birthing plan. This is what I want to do. This is what I don't want to do. They read it and they were cool with it. They were really awesome and super supportive. They were making sure I was moving around a lot, making sure I was comfortable. The only thing I couldn't have was food, which I really wanted. Because I was like, like I actually got up at like 3 in the morning because I was having pains. And I thought to myself, okay, let me just go to the bathroom real quick. And for some reason, I turned the light on. I don't usually turn the light on, obviously, in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom.
Mm.
And I did for this one. And I turned it on and I was bleeding. And I was like, okay, yeah, something's going on. I was like, I don't think I'm in labor, but I'm bleeding. So I'm so close to having the baby. We're going to the hospital. I woke up my fiance and I was like, babe, we need to go to the hospital. I think I might be in labor. I'm bleeding. So we got things ready, jumped into the car, and went to the hospital, and it was pretty smooth. After labor, everything was really great too. My
Did you have a
doctors really
natural
good.
birth?
I did. Yeah, I actually didn't think that I was going to make it through. At one point, I was thinking to myself, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. I was pushing for a good hour, maybe more than that, like physically pushing. And I said to myself, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I just pushed through it. I pushed through it, accomplished my goal, had the vaginal birth, and I was super happy about it.
What
Yeah.
is one thing from your first year as a mother? Because Stella's just over a year?
She's going to be she's going to be 18 months in a couple of days.
Okay. So what is one thing that you wished you had known beforehand?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, Let me preface by saying that I did a ton of research before. I did find a lot of conflicting information that was most of the time like outdated or callous. I'm more of like the attachment parenting type, which is one of the reasons why I started my blog. But I think it would have been helpful knowing that we should have started getting her used to the bottle before I actually went back into work.
Mm-hmm.
She refused to take the bottle. Like she would not have it. My first day back at work, I had to come home early because she didn't want to take it. Didn't want to take it at all. And um, my thought process was, I just want to breastfeed her. I just want her to be, on this amazing journey with me on this. And I didn't want there to be any nipple confusion and, all the scary things that you read. But looking back, if I had to tell moms to do something different than I did, I would say to introduce a bottle a little bit earlier. I mean, poor Eric, he was so tired because it was like his domain. He was doing all the watching all the videos and researching, and yeah, I mean, that was definitely challenging.
Yeah, but it could make that transition a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, aside from that, what has been the hardest thing about motherhood for you so far?
Yeah, I would think hardest thing for motherhood for me so far is like tuning out the noise. So many people have their opinions on what to do and how to do it. And I think that one of the reasons my family doesn't do that with me personally is because they know how I am.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
You're like, I'll put it out there. Now you guys know.
Um, but when people like give me their unsolicited advice, like I just get annoyed. Like if I want your opinion, I'll ask for it.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Like I have my mom tribe, like who have helped me through my journey, and I'm not objecting to advice at all. I'm just more so talking about the people who just like impose their journey onto mine as if
Yes.
they know what I'm going through or know what's best for my situation. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably one of the hardest parts is just like, because as a new mom too, like you don't really know everything and you're going through everything for the first time. And then when people start giving you advice, it just gets really overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And then you stop trusting yourself, and
Right.
stop listening to your own instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just becomes harder, right? Because you're trying to please everybody, basically.
Yeah. And from what I've heard, it seems as though you know more than you think you know.
Yeah.
There are some things that you cannot plan for, that you have no idea about, that you need to go get the help for.
Mhm.
But those instincts are there. And so if you can kind of just trust them, it's,
Right.
you know, and so many moms are different that it's probably always best to lead with something to the effect of, I have experience in XYZ. If you'd like to talk about it, let me know, as opposed to just unsolicited, you know, unsoliciting. Is that a word? Un,
I think so.
un, Giving unsolicited advice. There we go. I was like, how do you say that? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think people do that with everything, but I think motherhood especially, and since it can be such a controversial topic and something that can really hit to the core with specific things, whether it's breastfeeding or toddler food or sleep training, all of those things, they're two sensitive topics, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And you never really know what someone else is going through and what they've done or
No.
tried and things like that. I think that's why it's really important just to kind of give support and encouragement.
Yeah, 100%.
Second
Now,
guessing ourselves constantly. The last thing we
yeah,
want is like someone else telling us that we're doing it wrong all along.
right. Mamas, I just wanted to take a quick moment to recognize one of my sponsors, Hypnobabies. Hypnobabies is birth hypnosis, how to enjoy your baby's birth in comfort, joy, and love. If you're a soon-to-be mama or know a soon-to-be mama, check out the link in the show notes for Hypnobabies. There's a home study course, there's MP3 tracks, and there's also a few non-birthing tracks as well. How to stop smoking, how to help your toddler sleep, and many, many more. Check out Hypnobabies in the show notes for a 20% off discount, and make sure you use the code PUMPINGPODCAST for a 20% off discount. For more info about Hypnobabies, you can go back and listen to episode 7, where I interviewed the founder and CEO, Carrie Tishoff. She was gracious enough to give my listeners a private code for 20% off. So make sure you use that code PUMPINGPODCAST. Go check out Hypnobabies in the show notes. Now back to the show. So what has been the most rewarding part then?
Oh gosh, I would have to say hands down like the love and the bond and just the witnessing of this like little human, you know, turning
Mm.
into her own little self. And, she's like just seeing that she's so much of me and her dad. And she's basically like, truly the best of both of us.
That's beautiful.
Like I really look forward to every day and every moment with her. She makes my life so much more rich.
Mm. I'd love for you to speak a little bit about your experience breastfeeding. I know, especially with a toddler, because you're still breastfeeding with her, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Let me say yes, but let me also say it's limited, right? So it's only in the morning and at nighttime. Once in a while, like if she's like really teething or something, she'll want to go on the boob during the day, but it's really just more so for comfort if she does that.
Well,
Um,
and I think the thing is that I've been hearing mostly as well, moms who are breastfeeding after a year, it usually does look like that.
mm,
And I think sometimes people misunderstand, oh, I'm breastfeeding a toddler. They think that they're breastfeeding every time they need a drink or every time they're eating a meal, and that's not the
right.
case.
No, no, it's not. I
So
mean,
what has it been like for you now that she's grown up?
it's gotten easier since I weaned her from breastfeeding in the middle of the night. So that happened about 2 months ago. So the most challenging part about it is not sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, like once I started weaning her, it changed significantly. Um, uh,
Have you felt at all any pressure or any question, any unsolicited opinions from people as
no,
you've progressed? No, that's great.
not to my face.
Well, I think that's important too, because one of the other episodes that just recently um, aired, uh, she said the same exact thing. And I think that's really important for moms who have maybe just had a child or future moms. I think that's important for them to hear, because I think you think that you're going to maybe get all of this backlash or questioning or, come up against all these opinions. And who cares what people think in their own
Yeah,
time? Like 4F's given, as like you
exactly.
say. And I think it's important to know that if you make that decision, that's your decision. And I mean, unless you're going to have a conversation with someone about it, people are very unlikely to come up to you, I think, and truly question you about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
hope that empowers moms.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen, especially since it's breastfeeding week, National Breastfeeding Awareness Month, I should say. I've just seen so many amazing photos and videos of moms breastfeeding their toddlers. It's really, I mean, it's more than just a comfort for them. They're still getting nourishment. Their immune system is still building, and to be able to
Yeah,
give them that boost is priceless.
absolutely. Yeah. So, how has it been different for you when she was little compared to when she changed? Like, do you find you're doing it more for yourself as more of a comfort? Is it for her? Is it more for her immune system? How has the process changed, and your opinion and your feelings about breastfeeding, how has that changed as she's gotten older?
Um, my opinions on it haven't really changed. I still think it's the best thing that you can do for your kid if you're able to do it, obviously. Um, And I think that the only way that it's really been different is the amount that she's intaking, right? Because I'm
Mm,
not really producing much milk now since I weaned her at nighttime. So she's not doing the 2 to 3 hours every single hour during the
right.
night. So that's really been the biggest change is just the amount that she's drinking and how much my body's producing. My body isn't producing much. Um, and come that what's tagged along with that is that I've gained some weight because my body isn't burning those up to 500 calories a day because I'm
Mm.
not producing as much milk. Um, but yeah, I mean, nothing really has changed significantly. I mean, she eats really well. She has eaten really well even since she was one. Um, but nothing has really significantly changed for us since she's been breastfeeding.
And do you plan to just continue until she seems to not need it anymore?
Yeah, it's really kind of just like a routine thing. So like in the
Mm.
morning we'll go in, we'll wake her up, she comes into our bed, and then she asks for it. She says, boo boo, boo boo. So cute.
Oh.
And then she just kind of like lays on me and she's just suckling a little bit and then she bounces back and forth from one to the next for like
Mhm.
20 minutes, half an hour. It's just kind of like our little thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, it's just like after she has her bath and I'm reading her books and she wants to nurse a little bit, but that's pretty much the extent of it, to be honest.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
kind of a nice moment for the two of you, I think, and
yeah,
little routine.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
You touched on this earlier, but and I think this is what you were talking about, but you have an article in your blog that's entitled "Our Bottle versus Nipple Struggle." So I just wanted to dive into that a little bit. First of all, is that blog essentially what you were explaining before in your advice to moms to incorporate the bottle sooner?
Yeah, exactly. So, like I mentioned before, introducing the bottle early is something I wish I knew to do before we had to pull the trigger on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like I just wanted to make sure that she had nursing down packed before anything else was introduced, whether it was the bottle or the pacifier.
Mm-hmm.
Pacifier is another topic.
Yes, exactly.
I actually was like, I'm not going to give her the pacifier. I'm not going to give it to her. And then, like, when she really started teething, it was like, okay, we have to give her some sort of comfort. But
At what age was that, out of curiosity?
I think we started giving her the pacifier around like 5, 6 months.
It's so funny because I had this rant, I don't know why. I talk to my husband about random like mom baby things now, and he's probably annoyed about it. He's like, hold off, we're not there yet. But we've had a lot of conversations that many,
That's good.
couples
Having
wouldn't
the
beforehand.
conversation is good.
Yeah, so we had this conversation about pacifiers, and he said, "I just don't get it. Like, why do you even need it? You probably, just don't even have it, and then if you give it to them, they're just going to want it more." But like, it's not quite that, maybe with some kids, but so what was was that kind of your initial opinion on it? You wanted to hold off as long as possible?
I wanted to hold off as long as possible. I don't really remember why now I decided on that. I think part of it also was because of, I didn't want her to have that confusion of nipple versus pacifier.
Right.
I didn't want her teeth to get messed up. Don't know if that's even a thing, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what my reasoning was, to be honest. But I do remember that the nanny actually introduced the nipple to the pacifier to her, and
Mm.
I was like, okay, yeah, it's fine. I don't mind. And
Does she still use it?
she does, yeah, she does. But usually it's only at nighttime, or if she's teething, she really needs it because she's like biting on it.
Right, right.
Um,
Well, and the
but
flip side of that is I have a friend whose daughter won't even take a pacifier, so you never really know.
yeah, well, it's interesting because she wouldn't take it at first.
Mm.
When we tried to give it to her, she didn't want it.
Mm. So
But
you
that's
never quite, yeah, you never quite know. But anyway, back to the bottle. So,
yeah.
um, I guess my initial question was, what would you tell moms to do differently than what you experienced? But would it basically just be to start adding the bottle in sooner?
Yeah, so I would, yeah, exactly. So I'd tell other parents to go ahead and try the bottle, maybe like 1 to 2 times a day. It's actually a
Mm.
great way to get the dad involved in the feedings or
Yeah.
another caregiver involved in the feedings, just so that they get used to it. Because I probably went through every single brand to figure out which
Hmm.
one that she would take. So that takes time.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot before.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, definitely trying to introduce it even just like 1 to 2 times a day, I think would be beneficial.
So I just want to talk a little bit more about your blog before we wrap up. What has this blog done for you? What is it? What is it for you? How does it inspire you?
Oh gosh, it's kind of evolved. Um, but for me, it really begins with like my journey, right? And documenting my journey into motherhood from start till whenever finish is going to be, if that even exists.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of wanted to have like a place to document everything and be able to go back and look at it. Or, if we have another kid, go back and look at my own advice and my own stories and see if I can implement them and take them into the next journey. But that's really kind of where it started, was just making sure that I had documentation of this amazing thing that I'm going to be going through, and being able to help other moms in the process was something that really just came along the way, because I just saw so many moms who were reaching out, talking to me, asking for advice, and like hanging on like every word that I was saying and reading all the blogs. And it was just really inspiring to me to be able to continue to help other people, whether, even though it wasn't as much of a business like my other business, it was still an aspect helping other people and helping moms get through their journeys and talking about their experiences. So for me, that's been really inspiring, and that's what's actually been keeping me going. And to do this is just to be able to help other moms through their journey.
Yeah, it was probably a little therapy for you in a way too, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. Because sometimes it does get lonely. A lot of moms
Yeah.
talk about how lonely it is, and it does get lonely. I'm super lucky and blessed to have an amazing partner. He's very hands on, and he's just amazing with me and with Stella. Um, So, a lot of moms don't have that. And I think that if we can be there for each other as much as we can, I think
Absolutely.
it only makes us stronger. It only makes our generation that we're raising even stronger too.
How has Stella impacted you and changed the past year of your life?
Oh gosh, I would have to say I'm much more aware of political things because of her.
Mm, that's interesting.
I was never a political person. My fiance is definitely a political person, always has been, always will be.
Mm.
Um, and that's definitely shifted me. But when she came, it was just like everything changed for me. It wasn't about me anymore, and I'm totally okay with that. Like I still do things for myself and all of that, but um, being a mom is like the best thing that's ever happened to me. I truly love it. And maybe my story will change if I have another kid who's a total chaos. But at the moment, right now, I can say that with confidence. She's brought out the best in me. And just the things that are going on around me, I just want to be a part of, and I want to make sure that I'm contributing to her future much more than just what I can do here in the house.
That's so beautiful. My last question for you is, what is something that you would like to tell her now for when she's 18? So if she were to think back or listen back to this and hear it when she's 18, what's something you want to tell her now?
I would tell her to value herself, trust herself, and she could do anything that she wants to do. Um, she's very ambitious and she's very much a go-getter already. So I could see that personality in her.
She's on the move already.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think my biggest piece of advice would be to value yourself, value everything, everything.
I love that. Well, all of your blog posts and everything that you put up on Instagram and social media is so inspiring. And I have a feeling that she'll get a lot of that from you. But I also want to make sure mamas who are listening or watching, if you're watching our video, check Adriana out. I mean, I think her blogs are different than others that I've seen. They're really heartfelt. The other thing that I think is kind of cool is your blogs are a little shorter than some that I've seen, which is kind of amazing because I think, moms can get overwhelmed. It's a lot that's going on.
Yeah.
And as we talked earlier, like there's a lot of opinions. So if you would like, it's a quick little read up, but full of information. So I think that's really important. You can check out the show notes. You can follow her at 4F's Given, and it's the number 4F's Given. And all the links for Instagram as well as her blog will be in the show notes, so you can check that out. But definitely do that and reach out, because I'm sure you would love to connect with moms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Questions.
Absolutely. I love it. I love nothing more.
I'm so grateful that we were able to connect. You're like such a bright light in my dark little closet here of 2020. So thank you so much for connecting and sharing your story. It was really great.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. The Pumping Podcast is a podcast for moms and by moms. And I am your host. I'm not yet a mama. I'm a mama in training. If you're enjoying what you hear, take a minute on Apple Podcasts to subscribe, rate, and make sure you review so other mamas out there can find us and listen along while they're pumping or breastfeeding. Some fun news for you: we have a private mama network for support and community of mamas. If you'd like to join, email info@thepumpingpodcast.com. Also, if you'd like to be a guest and share your journey into motherhood, email interviews@thepumpingpodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram @thepumpingpodcast. And for any other questions or to connect, check out thepumpingpodcast.com. Thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. You light me up and inspire me. And share the podcast with a mama or future mama you know. Until next time, keep on pumping.